Welcome to this week's edition of Get Me Right, Friends. Your go-to show for the big picture of stories and events that you thought need cool, calm, deep dive, so that you get a sense of being in control because you know that you understand. This week, I focus on two stories, one international and the other domestic. First one is on the strong debate around possible election rigging in the United States of America. And the second one is on the narrative of Dara Hua Musalman, the scared Muslim in India. Let's begin. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, marked its 75th anniversary this week, with allied leaders converging on Washington, D.C. for a review of the past and some crystal ball gazing into the future for the military bloc. A relic of the Cold War era, many within the NATO sphere wonder whether the organization is fighting for its relevance. Despite its recent expansion, some even think that it might be counterproductive for its objectives of peace and stability in Europe. If anything, Russia's war on Ukraine proves that NATO was hardly a deterrent.
In my estimation, at least, success is a strong, independent Ukraine, increasingly integrated with Euro-Atlantic institutions like the European Union, like NATO, and that is able to stand on its own feet.
In fact, the reason why Ukraine is not getting elevated as a full-time member of the military alliance is the very clause which keeps NATO together, Article 5, which enshrines the basic principle that an attack on one is an attack on all. The moment Ukraine becomes a NATO member, Article 5 kicks in, and we straight head into World War III. Nobody clearly has the stomach for that. So we would rather see more and more military capacity being given to Ukraine and watch them fight till the last Ukrainian is standing. And with the prospects of a Trump presidency later this year, the resolve to bloody Putin's face may go down even further. But my focus this week is not NATO. There's enough on it available already, and it's distant unless the World War III starts. I would instead bring to you another interesting story coming out of the United States this week. Uncle Sam was embroiled in an intense debate on voter fraud, ballot stuffing, illegal aliens, election rigging. Isn't that huge? We're not talking about Purulia but Philadelphia, not Midnapur but Minnesota. White House announced Monday that it opposes a Republican bill in the Congress that requires proof of American citizenship if one has to vote in the upcoming presidential elections. Called the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or the SAVE Act. The bill provides for a citizen to show birth certificate or passport before registering in the voter rolls. While the Republicans thought they were only stopping non-citizens from voting, Democrats saw in it an attack on their natural voter base, the immigrants, who might struggle with those documents. Sounds familiar with our own Bangladeshi and Rohingya debate? I'll come to that in a bit. Let me explain the SAVE Act in some detail first. Piloted by Republican Congressman Chip Roy of Texas, the bill raises a basic question. Should non-citizens be allowed to elect the President of the United States of America? As the law stands today, aliens cannot vote in federal elections. It's a crime punishable with prison or deportation if caught. Then what's the fuss about? Well, the decision as to who is a citizen or an alien rests with the federal government. It prohibits states from checking citizenship status, even in the case of a doubt. SAVE Act says that the states should be able to check the citizenship status of voters and revise the electoral rolls accordingly. Within the framework of American federalism, one would say, this sounds like a kosher ask. Fox News showed a Pew Research poll according to which 81% of Americans want proof of identity before voting. Only that in the kind of fractured polity that the United States has become, we are hearing only partisan interpretations. First reaction is Fox is right-wing. Republicans, backing the law, are calling out Democrats for using illegals as vote bank. Some have gone to the extent of suggesting that the Social Security numbers are created just so that the Democrat Party workers can stuff ballot boxes themselves without the aliens needing to even vote. If true, this can have consequences for the mandate in swing states.
Very important reason, as you all know, because there is currently an unprecedented and a clear and present danger to the integrity of our election system. And that is the threat of non-citizens and illegal aliens voting in our elections.
Democrats see in this a clear pre-election attempt by the Republicans to limit their natural constituency, the immigrants, from voting by creating layers of hurdles. Some extreme left elements who believe there should be no limits to immigration on the grounds of human rights see an attack on the democratic roots of the United States by far right.
They admitted that they had no evidence of non-citizen voting in our elections, the same rhetoric that nearly broke our nation 4 years ago.
If you look at the right, the likes of Joe Rogan, for example, calls it an out-and-out game of importing Democratic voters. Listen into this clip endorsed by Elon Musk by way of a repost.
Giving people aid and giving people housing, that you're essentially guaranteeing that if you can rig it so that those people are allowed to vote, those people are going to vote Democratic.
Procedurally, while the bill cleared the Congress on July 10, as Republicans have a majority in the House, it would founder in the Democrat majority Senate. And then obviously with the White House statement, it's a given that the law would be vetoed if that stage is ever reached. Aren't we familiar with this issue in India? The subject of Rohingyas and Bangladeshi illegal migrants keeps rocking public debate off and on. Various estimates have put the figure of illegal immigrants, predominantly Bangladeshis in India, at anything between 10 and 20 million, which is about 1 to 2 crores. Congress-led UPA government had put the figure at 12 million or 1.2 crores in Parliament sometime in 2005. The one led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi revised the figure to about 20 million or 2 crores in 2016. Interesting anecdote from my days as a bureau reporter in Ahmedabad. On a day sometime in 2011, I was sitting through a hearing at the Gujarat High Court. Chief Justice S.J. Mukhopadhyay was in chair. Gujarat police had deported 5, mind you, only 5 illegal Bangladeshis. And a team of cops had traveled to Bengal to leave them at the borders with Bangladesh. Some of their family members went to court against the action, and the matter came up before the Chief Justice's bench. Apart from the fact that they had the wherewithal to engage lawyers at the High Court, which is not particularly cheap, what remains with me from that hearing is a query by Justice Mukhopadhyay about how many illegal Bangladeshis could be there in India. The legal officer representing the Gujarat police expressed inability to give an exact figure beyond a guess of anything between 1 to 2 crores. It was the turn of Justice Mukhopadhyay then. Raising his hand and showing his palm, he indicated that in his estimate it could be up to 5 crores. UNHCR, the United Nations High Commissioner on Refugees, claims that they have given refugee documents to about 25,000 Rohingyas in India, while there could be up to 80,000 undocumented ones in the country. Then there's the thumb rule that for each illegal immigrant caught or documented, there could be up to 4 more going unaccounted. That puts the figure for Rohingyas in India at anything between 100,000 to 4 lakhs. Let me help you dig deeper to call the bluff of no illegal migration from Bangladesh argument. Now look at the graphics on your screen with full attention. I'm comparing decadal population growth between districts of India and Bangladesh bordering each other in Bengal. Development blocks in Murshidabad like Raghunath Ganj, Samsher Ganj, Lal Gola and Bhagwan Gola had growth rates ranging from 25 to 37% in the period 2001 to 2011. While districts across the Ganga on Bangladesh side, Rajshahi and Nawabganj, both sharing their boundary with Murshidabad, had population growth of an average of 15% in the same period. The ethnic, linguistic, religious composition of the people on both the sides is same, the Bengali Muslims. But the population growth on Indian side of the border has been double that of on the Bangladesh side, clearly and mathematically suggesting mass migration, almost 100% of it illegal. Unfortunately, like in the case of United States, so in India, the moment you talk about illegal aliens enjoying citizen rights, it becomes a polarized political debate. The sentiment which brands SAVE Act as racist because illegals are predominantly non-white paints all opposition to Bangladeshi and Rohingyas as Hindu propaganda because most of them happen to be Muslims. Justice Mukhopadhyay was not an RSS apparatchik. He, in fact, got elevated to the Supreme Court under the Congress-led UPA government in 2013. Way back in 2005, again during the Congress-ruled UPA years, the Supreme Court had ruled that large-scale illegal migration from Bangladesh amounted to an act of aggression against India, that it was creating a state of panic in Assam and Bengal and a fear psychosis in other northeastern states. Again in 2008, the Delhi High Court ruled that illegal Bangladeshis present an internal security threat to India. There are latest examples of court rulings also, but I am deliberately quoting from Congress years only. Amidst the just concluded general elections, we had a video of a Trinamool leader in Barasat, Ratna Biswas, caught on tape talking about providing documents that would enable many suspect citizens to become voters. You might want to listen to the tape.
জাকিতা নির্বাচনী এলাকায় অনেক বাংলাদেশি লোক এখানে বসবাস করেন। যদি লিংকের কোনো সমস্যা হয় বাংলাদেশ থেকে যারা এসেছে ভোটার লিস্টে নাম তোলার সমস্যা হয় জাকিতা এই কাজটা ভালো করে দেবে।
Like in the case of the United States, so in India, the illegals have become a constituency, their votes determining a stand of some political parties, essentially in the Congress-left ecosystem. Like in the case of USA, same argument of humanist empathy is used to absorb the illegal migrant community. Innumerable instances of law and order, exasperation of the courts of the country, helplessness of legal officers, frustrations of police forces fade away before the lure of vote bank politics. There are at least a dozen cases under active investigation by India's ace anti-terror agency, the NIA, involving cadres of the banned Jamaat-ul Mujahideen Bangladesh, the JMB. It's banned in Bangladesh also, by the way. Now, the common thread in all these investigations is the safe harbor these terror operatives found in pockets of Bangladeshi immigrant colonies that dot the country now from Jammu to Bhopal to Bengaluru, and of course Bengal and Assam. Which argument to believe in the illegals debate? Oh, they should be absorbed in our country on grounds of strife or persecution, because India, after all, is a civilizationally open society. This argument, by the way, is proffered by the same set of people who say, oh, CAA, which allows persecuted Hindus and Sikhs from Pakistan and Afghanistan to become citizens of the country, is a communal law. I rest my case. Moving on to the second story this week. Last week saw former BJP leader Nupur Sharma becoming a topic of debate. Her comments on whether Hindus are violent seen as a response to Rahul Gandhi's Hinsak Hindus jibe in the parliament.
जब ऊंचे पदों पे बैठे लोग कह देते हैं हिंदू हिंसक हैं, ऊंचे पदों पे बैठ के लोग कह देते हैं सनातनियों का नरसंहार कर दो, जो मैंने देखा है पिछले 2 साल में, सनातनियों का नरसंहार करने की कोशिश की गई.
There was pain in her eyes while making that comment. Nupur has spent all of the last 2 years in the shadow of gun, in hiding. She has been under 24-hour security of commandos, facing Sar Tan Se Juda threats that followed her defense of Hindu gods during the Kashi Gyanvapi debate in 2022. This brought focus on a subject that keeps lingering at the back of my mind, that of a Dara Hua Musalman in India. Nupur Sharma's banishment after those comments is not about Dara Hua Musalman. It is about a Dara Hua establishment. It is a reminder of the potency with which the Muslim community in the country, while harping on the theme of a disadvantaged minority, can still influence the narrative so strongly. We saw it in the case of the Citizenship Amendment Act protests in 2020. We have seen it in the case of Nupur Sharma episode. Every time a lynching happens, the narrative of Dara Hua Musalman becomes center stage, as if there is an organized pogrom out in play, an ethnic cleansweep targeting India's 200 million plus Muslims. An ecosystem of liberal press and community organizations comes into play to build the narrative. From Akhlaq of 2015 to Pehlu Khan in 2017, from Junaid and Nasir in 2023 to Farid of June of 2024. Each episode is turned into yet another instance of the Dara Hua Musalman project in a Hindu India. For every Akhlaq, there's an Ankit Sharma of Gopalganj. For every Pehlu Khan, there's a tailor Kanhaiya Lal of Udaipur. For every Junaid and Nasir, there's one Umesh Kole in Amravati. For every Farid, there's a Constable Ratan Lal in Delhi. I have details of each of these cases on both the sides of the divide. But does it even matter? The names, the cities, the triggers keep changing. Lynchings don't. The fact of narrative building does not. Even one lynching is too many. Even one is bad. Perhaps a societal problem with multi-layered factors. None proving Dara Hua Musalman. Only that these are symptomatic of a society with fault lines. Fault lines that have existed for at least 2 centuries and more. Gandhi and Nehru have tried to tackle them. Not Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Certainly not the cabal that wants to project India, that is Bharat, as a Lynchistan. On July 5, the Jamiyat Ulema-e-Hind, the Pan-India Council of Muslim Theologians, which also calls itself the biggest Muslim organization in the country and is seen as the most influential voice on Islamic affairs in the subcontinent, passed a few resolutions in its governing council meeting. Some of them, like concerning preserving of Muslim culture and religious education, have merit, and those in the government should address them in right earnest. But others clearly suggest hubris. Demanding Muslim reservations and terming that as not motivated by religion is one of them. While in a democracy, everyone is entitled to their views, and the Jamiyat can put across its own on the Uniform Civil Code, to call for the entire community to fall back on Sharia amounts to swimming against the tide of national progress. UCC is not imposition of any alien cultural ethos on Islam. Uniform Civil Code is a constitutional mandate, and by no measure it translates into a Hindu Rashtra. But the one resolution that smacked of lack of honesty was the one demanding a law on Islamophobia in the country. That's where Dara Hua Musalman narrative gets pushed in. The Jamiyat can be excused for being a theology-driven organization not fully representative of the Muslims of India, much like the Vishwa Hindu Parishad does not represent the entire Hindu community, claims of both notwithstanding. Last week also saw a video emerging from Bengal of a flogging, which according to those participating was Sharia compliant. The perpetrator, Tajamul alias JCB, thought he was doing a service to mankind with that flogging. This is not the India I want, or you want, or we want. This is not the India a billion plus Indians want. Those pictures represent an abyss we have seen in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Both the perpetrator and the victims happen to be Muslims in this video. A red-faced Trinamool was forced to overlook vote bank compulsions and distance itself from the perpetrator. Stuff like that happens in Hindu India also, like the Khap Panchayat-style kangaroo court justice. But where's the Dara Hua Musalman? Also in Bengal, a preposterous claim was made by a very senior leader of the Trinamool Congress, Mamata confidant Firhad Hakim. He is mayor of Kolkata and a third-term minister in the Bengal government, no less. Speaking at an All India Quran competition event, Hakim invited non-Muslims to join Islam. Not only that, He projected non-Islamic faiths as lesser religions. Let's listen to him.
যারা দুর্ভাগ্য নিয়ে জন্মেছে, যারা ইসলাম নিয়ে জন্মায়নি, তাদেরও দাওয়াতে ইসলাম, অর্থাৎ ইসলামের দাওয়াত দিয়ে তাদের মধ্যে ঈমান নিয়ে আসলে এটা আল্লাহ তাআলাকে খুশি করা হবে।
Hakim is not a theologian. He is a veteran politician who even visits Durga Pujo pandals come Navratri. There's nothing that India as a nation can give to me as a Hindu that it has not given to Hakim as a Muslim, perhaps 100 times more. He can actually believe that his religion is the only way to heavens, but in private. For him to be doing it before cameras, clearly he is not a Dara Hua Musalman. None exists beyond the charade of the narrative. Thanks for watching.